Originally, I think it was someone called Sunset, which we've seen before.
Yeah.
And now Aframoosh. We have seen Aframoosh before, you and I, personally, all the way back when he was on Warriors Gaming Unity and Clutch Gamers. All the way, but that is like a massive throwback. Recently, he did play on 2-base for a while. You know, so he's been in NA, he's subbing in, he's familiar with the players. And I'm keen to see how much Thiuth can get. The draft, it's looking pretty good. Wildcard were the ones forced to adjust in a weird way.
Lamey gonna land a nice balance strike on Flea, but not gonna amount to much yet. Shards are out though. Flea just trapped in those shards, still just standing there, hoping they wear off so he can run into the tree line, but he does get caught. Well, that's a very nice start here for Thiuth already. Rough start for Wildcard, but I suppose you won't mind too much. Problem is though, you gave that bonus first blood gold over to the mid-bat rider.
Yeah, Eska's going to be having a good time. Really fast rush into the bottle, way more sustained to spam out spells onto Bapitic. And it could get a little bit awkward, like Tiny versus Batrider, there's some counterplay for Tiny. It's not the comfiest though, and the first few levels can feel pretty good for Esk. Although, again, a Tiny can kind of dance around that. Tree Grab is still an insane right-click ability, so you can get some good early harass and farm in. Shouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to manage. But again, just back to Thiuth. With this kind of lineup, with this kind of draft they have, it looks good, right? The Monkey King feels like it should have a good game, depending on how the lanes go in. They do swap lanes as well. They do have Lamey actually heading bot, dodging that Viper lane.
Okay. I mean, why the hell not, right? You'd rather not play against the Viper if you can avoid it. See how long Lamey stands there. I mean, we could have some musical lanes coming up between these two, as we do tend to see sometimes, especially in certain regions. Lamey now going to show himself to Sammy Boy down a bot lane. And the Viper, well, so far not reacting. Sunlight's going to stick around topside. I suppose the Viper against DP is still a pretty strong matchup for Sunlight anyway. It's not like anyone really enjoys going up against the Viper. So either way, I mean, sure, you don't slow down the MK as much, but you can slow down this DP.
Yeah, you can at least put a dent in Napkin. Although, I don't think that's the right target to really slow down. DP, even if it has a bad lane, once it hits 6, can still get a lot done. And it's Arc that could be under threat depending on how that lane matchup goes. As, again, the panel threw it out there. There was the expectation for the off-lane Lycan up against this Monkey where the lane just doesn't feel that good. And this should be a lot better for Lamey. He should still be able to farm well, although it is not going too bad for Arc, but that could be down to the fact that Lamey did have to run down there and miss a couple of creeps.
Yeah. Can be a little bit rough with that kind of start. Arc, like you mentioned, not really struggling too much quite yet. As the levels go up, Lamey should be able to punish him, but you are always going to have Sammy Boy there for the turn potential as well. You can't really underestimate the amount of damage Snapfire can pump out right now, and we're seeing it as we speak. Lamey being zoned out, instead they'll turn on to Aframoosh instead. Afro should be okay, but Scatterblast is available, and Sammy Boy will be able to take him down. They do secure the Grimstroke. Not so much the MK, but it doesn't seem like Lamey's going to have that easy of a time.
Yeah, it's not that easy of a lane still. I mean, the Lycan can just kind of sustain true. You can cut down the damage down the line with a Howl, if that is something you want to pick up here for Arc. And it's just a simple cookie combination. With the Wolves up, you micro well, which we have seen Arc do before. You've got an easy setup onto the stun and easy follow-through. So already a pretty good start for Wildcard so far. Every lane looking pretty damn good here as well. Sunlight's lane going well. Bapitic, again, just managing to find the space to harass out with a tree grab. And has the Avalanche toss to interrupt if Esk does decide to get aggressive. So you're establishing a very solid foundation for Wildcard already.
Yeah, it's pretty important though that Esk does at least attempt some kills, but like you mentioned, you've got the toss back and that makes it kind of rough. See how Esk tries to deal with this. Of course, bottom lane, Lamey had the Ink Swap placed on him, but doesn't actually land a stun on anyone. Again, Arc still farming pretty darn well. Lamey just trying to remain in the laning stage, hoping not to get harassed out here. I don't think Arc will want to get too aggressive on the Lycan anyway. It's just all about securing that early farm. Sammy just, obviously his job just to make sure the Lycan can hit creeps. Lamey, again, he's always going to be a little bit behind in CS, but see if he can catch his way out. Meanwhile, Afro, of course, going to sit right behind Lamey, make sure he's just fine. How's that top lane going? The Sunlight top of the CS board right now, 16 and 6. We kind of talked about Napkin not being able to farm very well on this DP this game, and well, as you can see, John, it's not a very fun time. Look at the amount of slow and damage. Napkin might just be dead. Sunlight gets another poison attack. Napkin is just going to drop. There's no escape from that.
No, I mean, you have really good sustain with Spirit Siphon, but the DOTs from Sunlight just makes it hellish. And it's not like you're going to be able to Spirit Siphon 2 heroes here. Sunlight's not going to go all the way in. You're only going to get 1 Spirit Siphon off. Flea snipes a courier as well, so 9 doesn't even have any regen to play with in the lane, which means him coming up to harass, it's not going to happen. And this is one thing that we've seen other teams manage well. You know, when you're up against tree and you cut the tree line, they haven't been able to do so. A little bit of a movement mid as they try to drag Sammy in for punishment onto Esk. Don't really manage to find it, but it's still a lot of pressure onto Esk. He's not too far behind.
9.
Oh.
Yeah, top lane. 9's probably just going to drop here. Shots up, but the poison damage, it's just ticking away. That'll be the tusk down. And well, he doesn't have any points in Snowball either. He actually opted to go level 1 tag team. So he doesn't really have the greatest escape opportunities either.
Yeah, I mean, I get the tag team. It's really great presence early on, but it limits their options in save and limits their options to gap close onto that Viper, onto even Flea. So for Wildcard, even though Flea gave up that first blood, he still has a lot of room. He's been doing great work here. And if you don't cut that tree line, there's so much room for a tree to play.
Bottom, they're going to try on Arc, but a very nice cookie away from Sammy, and now Afro just being chased down by the Wolves. Very nice micro here from Arc. Zlamy does proc the Jingu Mastery. Those Wolves still chasing Afro, but not able to find him. Afro does get the salve off, and it does not get cancelled. Meanwhile, top lane, 9 is going to drop once again. Sunlight able to secure another killer's bottom lane. These Wolves are just trapping Afro in.
Oh boy.
The creep wave will help him out, eventually taking those Wolves down, but Arc already showing he is pretty damn good with the micro.
Yeah, he's just using them so well in
again
with Sammy, and yeah,
perfect setup here from Sammy. Afro's gonna drop. Lamy's gonna try and chase him down and punish. Thing is, it's gonna be a 2v1 scenario. He'll keep going to Sammy with the Boundless, and Lamy does at least find himself a nice trade.
Yeah, it's decent enough. You're happy that your core gets a kill. You're trying to get Lamy back in the game. He is slightly ahead in CS, so you can kind of manage himself. And at level 5 now in the Monkey, it's a lot harder to contest him and to have the Lycan run up to him until that level 6 is up for Arc. So you've got a lot of room now for the Monkey King to feel a little bit more relaxed, but you still have to respect that snap combo just with Wolves. And that should still give Arc a decent enough timing onto the Dominator, into that Overlord, have that impact he'd want. Maybe try to connect with his team to get a push going, which is really what you'd want to do.
Lamy, bottom lane,
Flea's
gotta be
here.
careful. Flea has rotated. Cookie will land. Afro trying to help out. A nice balance strike. Lamy's still trying to run, but it's not gonna be enough. Flea is there with the final right click. I appreciate how much Wildcard are kind of investing in this bottom lane just to make sure Arc is uncontested. And they've done a great job. He's almost got the Helm of the Dominator up. In fact, Afro trying to run. Sammy's going to cookie back up. Goes for the Wolf, and that's going to be another. Arc will take that one with the Wolves. And Wildcard so far playing this game 1 to perfection.
You know what reminds me of seeing this kind of focus on linking up your spells with minions with Lycan? It reminds me of good old Lil Gun when they'd go Lycan
yes.
Grimstroke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a Grimstroke, but Snapfire with Cookie does the same thing with the minions. You get a good AoE stun, you get some good damage, you can follow through really well. I love that Flea's here because it's a Viper, you can leave it alone.
Lamy, he might be making the walk of shame here, John. High fives up from Arc. You gotta wave goodbye. You're not gonna see that man for quite a while now.
Yeah, and it just goes back to this lane swapping, right? You've got Viper versus DP. You can just leave the Viper alone. He doesn't care for the DP, so you can apply that pressure bot. So much damage onto that tier 1 bot as well. For Thiuth, they're grouping up mid. You know, they're trying to maybe play around the threat of Esk level 7 pocketing that skill point for the lasso. So they could try to play with it, and they've got the regen up. So Esk is going to be feeling good. The issue is, it does feel like your supports are pretty underleveled. You've got the value point in the Snowball up now on 9. So you can kind of set up for his team. And they can just play off the back of that. The difference right now for Thiuth is they're not the ones being aggressive. And I think this lineup, it is a little bit harder to be aggressive. You've got Bad Rider who wants travels, who wants Aetherlens, BKB, all of those good stuff. And that does take time. And with the tower gone for Lamy, he's not very secure down here bot. Can't switch up top yet because Napkin is still soaking that up. So you're kind of stuck in a situation where you don't have too much room to grow here.
Absolutely, and look at this, mid-rotation coming in. They want to keep this aggression up. Flea does get spotted now. Thiuth, or in fact, they didn't spot him. That was a Radiant Observer ward. 9, he's going to get the snowball off, but he is probably just set to melt. In fact, never mind, they ignore him for now. Babbage even just walking right past. They want Esk instead with this wolf form, and they might just have the bat. Esk is forced to lasso up, a bit of damage. In comes Lamey, but Ark is just going to walk away as Babbage is there with the follow-up. Esk is somehow still running. Leech Seed is out. Flea with the Nature's Grasp as well, but Esk is somehow alive. Still Sunlight in the meantime, killing off Napkin. And they can't punish anyone.
I know, you're so happy right now if you're Wildcard. You managed to break the smoke, you don't lose any heroes. You might try here though.
They'll try onto Babbage. Nice cookie away from Sammy. It's going to avoid the Inkswall stun, but the Balance Strike is there. Still the runaway. Here comes Sunlight, ready to back up his Tiny, and this could be a disaster for the side of Thiuth. They are melting one by one. Sunlight is too much to deal with. Lamey is forced to man up, but it's not enough. Afro now, can we get an Ultra? We may just. Afro goes down, perhaps a Rampage. Could be the first one of the NA DPC. Napkin's on the run. Can they hand the Rampage over?
Oh, no! Sammy!
Oh, Bammy Soy! It's always Sammy!
Oh, Sammy, why'd you do that? Tips out for Sunlight.
That would have been the first one.
He ruins it. He's like, if I'm not doing the Rampage, no one is. You know, he's vicious, you know. Sammy does go on a Rampage in Twitch chat, Rampage on Twitter. You know, the guy has a rep to live up to. And he takes it away from his team. Still,
how dare he?
I mean, even losing out in that Rampage, Wildcard are in full control of this game. Like, 15-2, 6k up. All the lanes for Thiuth just didn't go to weighted one. That's Exorcism wasted on mid.
That's rough.
Now they can't push. Where do you farm now if you're this Monkey King?
You tell me, John.
I mean, you've got to hit the jungle. They are fairly well protected. Wildcard hasn't really put out aggressive wards, but they're already invading top jungle. And as soon as that mid tier 1 falls, I mean, your jungle just opens up in a massive way.
Oh, here we go again. Avalanche toss combo, Oof. Afro. Welcome to NA Dota, sir. He's gone. Mid lane, tier 1 tower, not going to last very long. 16-2, 6k advantage here for Wildcard. It is a very rough affair so far for Thiuth.
Yeah, it's not an easy game. They might lose more.
Yeah,
if
it's
Nine's
not over.
Careful.
Nine's going to be okay. Juke out Babbage, but it's not going to matter. Tier 1 tower's still going to drop. That's going to open up the map now. And in goes the smoke. They are not done. Wildcard, they understand how powerful they are at the moment. They'll head up towards that top side. Babbage and Sammy. No kisses available for another 15 seconds, but quite frankly, John, with the way they've been playing, it doesn't feel like they even need it. Mid lane Afro, he could be targeted again. Scans out, Sammy, they'll see 9 instead. They'd rather the Tusk anyway. Toss right back into Sunlight. Give it to the Viper. Sammy, he'll take it once again.
Yeah, Sammy's just cleaning up. You know, he's doing his job. You're happy enough? I do love, and I have to point this out, this build on Sunlight, rushing the Urn into Spirit Vessel. You just remove that durability that Napkin has, and even the durability Lamey has with his lifesteal. So as long as Sunlight's there and these BKBs aren't up, you don't have a way of dispelling, Sunlight will just melt you. You have no clear solution for this Viper just yet. And it just goes back to this draft of Thiuth. You're farming on a Monkey King, you're farming on this Bat Rider until these heroes get their initial items up. Wildcard have complete control of the game.
That they do. I mean, it's so rough now. Like, where do you find the space for this Monkey King to farm? He's going Echo Saber and he's just nowhere near it. We're almost 13 minutes in. He's got no farm right now. 4.2k net worth. We'll see what he does. Wildcard, they just don't need to slow down. And the thing is as well, even if you do, like mid lane, okay,
the
Sunlight,
kisses, though.
This is an opening, but the kisses are very, very painful, and Sunlight is a tanky boy. He hasn't dropped yet. In comes Napkin. He wants a bit of revenge on this Viper, but Sunlight, he is gonna survive.
Oh my god.
That's so rough, man. That doesn't feel good at all.
You drag literally everyone for one Viper, and you don't find that kill. That is, that's pretty demoralizing. You know, that's not a good feeling if you're Thiuth. And the instant smoke out from Wildcard as well. They don't have kisses, but
Esk run. They see the fire Esk.
Yeah. It's a tough game, Mike. You know, it's not getting any easier for Thiuth. Even the timing. Babitic has a DD on. I mean, the game, it feels like it's actively working against you at this point. The one thing for Thiuth, again, you wait for these items. You wait for that BKB to be up and running on Esk. You wait for at least, I don't think Echo Saber Monkey King is going to cut it. Maybe you wait for one more item on top of that, disassembly play into BKB, and then you're comfier. And just try to play aggressive with your supports. Speaking of those supports, Mike, 9 and Aframoosh aren't level 6 yet.
Oh, no.
We are almost, well, we're 14 minutes in.
Who took the tomb? Who took the... one of these damn cores. I bet you anything. One of these damn cores took the tomb away from these supports. And now they're crying like, why don't my supports do anything?
I mean, just look at the comparison. You're level 9 on Flea. You're level 8 on Sammy.
Oh.
And Flea fed first blood with a 5-man gank on him. And he just recovers. This lane just goes so well. They don't cut that tree line. And Thiuth, this lineup playing from behind just feels so difficult. You've got the DP who really wants to push. No tier 1 tower down yet. You're playing against a tree. It's always going to be healed up. So any little shove you do is just kind of repaired by Flea. You're not able to really work the lanes right now. The best idea is giving this space for Lamey down in bot jungle.
Yeah, well, Afro, on the bright side, John, he was maybe 2 creeps away from level 6, so he's one step closer.
Oh my God. That's just painful, man. That
15 minutes.
Not a good time. Napkin's not in for a good time either.
No, Nature's Grasp going to block the way. He's going to try and pop the Exorcism and go for a bit of a fight here, but Babitic is going to show up, and my God.
Exo down again.
It's down again. Sammy's probably just out of tips right now, or he's had enough of tipping. He's like, you know what, guys? I better save the tips for a little bit later on. Smoke out. Thiuth into that dire jungle. They'll try to retake it. Sammy, he's going to be the target that shows up. Can they make the dive in? There's a cookie, but the snowball is right behind him. They don't land the Inkswell. Sammy's actually too tanky. They're still maybe going to find the kill, but can they get away from this? Because they've popped the Wolfform and Arc. Well, he's the one that needs to run right now, but in comes Babitic. Avalanche toss combo. Lamey's gone. Tips out for Napkin. 9. He's going to cop the Spirit Vessel. In comes the kisses. Sammy, he bought back for this. Afro's going to cop it.
Oh my God.
You know the worst part is about Sammy? He uses the Effie sorry voice line.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does.
He knows exactly what he's doing. Go into the Roshan. Wildcard know what they're doing as well. And Thiuth, it's another huge commitment. Like they dropped down Wukong's just to kill Sammy because the damage wasn't coming out without it. It goes back to just lacking the items right now on Lamey. And with Aegis up and running, with Sunlight even picking it up, they're just so confident. They know that they've got every tool they have to just force these objectives.
He just Primal Springed in. Babitic has no mana for toss. Now he does. He was like, well, 2 mana off. Afro's level 6, and so is this task. That's good news, John.
Yeah.
I've got to look at the bright side of something.
Yeah, I'll always look at the bright side of life, as what was it? Life of Brian taught us. It's a great film.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, Monty Python. Monty Python, I bet. Man, Mike, you gotta culture up.
Don't get me started with you, John. You and your movie choices. Don't make me expose you here on this stream.
Expose me? What? Puss in Boots 2 was a great film.
Oh.
What do you mean? You're a man who's not open-minded.
Top lane.
Esk?
Oh, nice cookie from Sammy. And Arc's been very good. Like, the combo between these two, very, very strong. Like, they're just coordinating perfectly.
Yeah, it's, again, very reminiscent of what Lilligan loved to do with that Lycan, right? It's not only about the push, it's about using these summons to their full potential. And they just keep going hunting. Oh. 7. All right.
Let's see what happens here. Can they take him out? Surely they can. It's a pos 5. Sammy's falling low. 9 cops a scatter blast. In comes the avalanche toss. There goes your toss, but Sammy is down. Overgrowth out as well. They've caught the DP, but Afro, he is down to boot. Napkin's trying to run. He should be just fine with the TP. Lamey, however, stuck in the tree line, but can jump through the tree line. Will be able to survive through it as well. So a 2-for-1 trade. They find Sammy for both their supports. It's not a very good trade, but at the moment, they actually make more gold out of that team fight. So, well, there you go. It's a bit of a win for Thiuth.
Yeah, you're happy enough to at least find that kill on Sammy, punish him for the buyback. So, you know, you get something done. You get a die back in Sammy. I would say to maximize that kill, you tip Sammy. You've got to get the counter tips ready here on Thiuth. Maybe down the line, maybe they're just not feeling it yet, but once they feel it, you get into Sammy's head, use his tactics against him.
But that's a question, John. Do you stoop down that low? You like this? Sammy might want to drag you to that level. You know what I mean?
That is true. That could be his play.
Usually I'm all for the tips, but with Sammy, it's a bit of a different story. It almost reminds me of that Joker movie. Remember the recent Joker movie that came out? He's like, do you really want to be dragged down with it? You know?
That's fair. Sammy's such a character. Like, he is such a character.
Very comedic pro crew, that's for sure. 9. We love you, Sammy. Never change, sir. Bottom lane. Lamey. Oh, Sammy.
Yes.
Setting up another great kill.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? You know, your combination with Monkey King Grimstroke doesn't work out. This theoretical of Inkswell jump in, chain stun kills, just never happened. And now your high ground's being sieged 20 minutes in, full health Dominator up, and you just don't have anything to stop Sunlight from sitting forward. He still has Aegis for a minute and a half.
There goes Babidich. Avalanche toss. That's a level 7 task.
Half his levels.
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
It's not when you're level 14 on Tiny and you're killing a level 7 hero. You're bullying school kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's like teenagers beating down on grade 7 kids. And you're like, why?
I mean, it's more like grown adults beating down on grade 7 kids, honestly, here, John. It's very rough at the moment, I'll tell you.
You mean grown adults and Sammy? I love you, Sammy. I miss casting with that guy. I miss him.
Hey, he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
He has the... for some reason, you know, he has this smile. When he's laughing, it just looks like the trolliest face. It is so trolly.
Well, you and I met him in Singapore, and I can legitimately say he is a really nice guy.
He is. He's just a massive troll.
Yeah. But that's what NA likes.
Yeah.
You know, you might not like the bad guy, but he's a good bad guy.
Yeah, like Scarface, right?
Right.
Look at me. I'm the bad guy.
Lasso out. They're going to try. It's a decent lasso on Ark. In fact, it might be a decent team fight. Ark is quite low. Stun him up, but do they have enough? Ark, he's going to lose his life. Still, they are dropping like flies here on the side of Thiuth. There goes Lamey. The Babidich also going down. It seems like maybe Wildcard, the ones that have overextended here, as Overgrowth flee. He will hold them all down. Thiuth trying to run, but Sunlight is getting right to work. Esk is going to be forced to TP out. He might just drop in the fountain.
Ooh.
Oh, he's gone. He is gone. Sunlight. He is godlike.
The worst part about that is they can still keep pushing because they've got the shard up on Sunlight. So he can just do this himself with that Ancient Black Dragon still up. They're going to be able to take 2 racks off the back of it.
What's Napkin done wrong? What's that? Napkin's getting the speed treatment right now from the side of Wildcard. I don't know what these guys have done wrong. I bet you anything it was some stupid pub game they played.
It's always the pubs, Mike. That's what the NA meta devolves to. Have you done something in your pubs? And yes, then, you know, you gotta lay it on them, right? And now at least you saved the range racks, but you're fairly happy on Wildcard. Sunlight is... This guy just has Hurricane Pike, Spirit Vessel, Power Treads. That's it. That's all he needs. And it's still ridiculous. Now he's got the Asha coming in. Even more damage coming out. For the side of Thiuth, your map space has shrunk a massive amount. Getting farm out for Lamey to get that BKB is going to be quite the process. But we are seeing signs of life. This Blink and Lasso win, if you can combine that with maybe a Soulbind first from Afro, it can be devastating. And they can use that to set up for the Monkey King, to get a good Wukongs off, to buy space to really get max value from the Spirit Siphon. And this is how Thiuth needs to play. That defense on the high ground, if you didn't have Aegis on Sunlight, if you waited like 10 seconds, you might have been able to win even more.
Oh, here we go. Babidich. Blind Avalanche, not going to land. Decent guess, though. They were there just a second ago. A 19k advantage. 1 lane of racks left here for the side of Thiuth. I don't know if you bother waiting for Roshan, but I suppose you don't really want to throw the game. It only takes one big team fight.
Mike, I just realized a while ago we passed by the 32-2 scoreline just for a moment.
Oh,
Just for a brief, perfect moment, I think.
beautiful.
Right before that team fight devolved.
There goes Babitic. There goes the overgrowth from Flea. Lamey's going to try with the Wukongs. Afro's going to drop immediately, and
Ooh,
now the
boy, that
kisses.
damage.
Nobody's got a BKB yet. They've had no time to farm. They have had 0 time. Is it time to call it?
It feels like it, Mike. 37-8, and you just don't have room to farm your team fights. They had an idea to get this really good Soulbind off, but they're not able to follow up. Really great overgrowth coming out to cut off that movement from Esk. And you're just gonna have to deal with Mega Creeps. Your lineup can wave clear out so you can hold up, but Sunlight has the right idea.
Yeah.
Just hit towers.
Yeah, his team are trying to get the final lane of barracks. Sunlight just wants the game to be over. It's like, man, I'm playing Viper. You know, I've got one button to click, and that's my right-click button on my mouse. Babitic, toss back.
Oh.
Not a nice setup, though. The lasso into the fountain. They might finally find him. But GG's called. Napkin just wanted to see that tiny die one time before he ended up finishing that game. And what a game it was. Wildcard taking a very dominant game, #1 here against the side of Thiuth.